And I'm yet to be entirely convinced it was a kick as we know them. Very strange. But of course,
Shaun Murphy to break.
From there, O'Sullivan cleared the table. I'm trying to think, actually, Phil, of any pots that Ronnie has missed this morning. He may have done. One or two may have escaped my mind. I don't think he's missed anything, has he?
Well, he did. He made 67 in the first and missed.
That was it. You're right. He did miss that, and it was actually in live play, so that was the one. So I knew there was something. I knew you'd correct me. I think it's the only ball I've seen him miss. But you're right. That was quite an easy one.
What a nice moment, though, before the break. The two great gladiators, Higgins and O'Sullivan, now into their 40s, making simultaneous centuries on either side of this auditorium.
Wow, what an extraordinary long pot that is. Goodness me, if O'Sullivan gets his long game back, as appears to be the case, then everyone needs to watch out, because that hasn't been there all season. That is a remarkable pot. And look at the position.
And that's a surprising statistic to me, the fact that O'Sullivan's potting from distance in this match has been superior to that of Murphy.
Well, one thing you know about the O'Sullivan era in this game, when he does retire and someone asks you what was he like and what was his strength and weaknesses, we say, well, he hasn't really got a weakness. Because, you know, when he's always been at his best, his long game has been deadly. His break building is probably the best the game has ever seen. Some people might say Hendry, but either way, we won't get into that argument. You know, he's an extraordinary break builder. He's got safety play. He's ambidextrous. There isn't really anything. The only thing that occasionally he turns up and he's not in the best of
60
mindset to play. That's all I can possibly think of as a weakness. There's nothing else, Phil. Because he is a brilliant long potter. But that is a most rare error. For him to hit that right red there, that is unusual. The cannon play is usually sublime.
Ronnie O'Sullivan, 23.
Well, should he win, it'll be interesting to find out his views on his performance, because he's always very hard on himself. I think in general, he's entitled to feel very happy with this. He's playing a leading player over a long session, and it seems that he's going to beat him comfortably. Big swerve, that'll be, around the green. Well, he's playing another red. Well, this... If he does play a red to the right corner, it's very tough. I think he's back on the swerve. They put everything into that shot. Knew he was leaving the red over the pocket, couldn't help it. But as he covered it. A little bit of applause there. I don't believe he played that. Well, if the other red wasn't in the way, he might have played the swerve himself there, but it's just too difficult now. Oh, goodness me. Well, he played it quite well in the first place, I thought, given that he tried to push the red near the pocket into the pocket. But part B of the shot has worked out as well. I think he's going directly towards the pocket here. Straight in. Very nice. I guess if you hit the red, you pot the red.
Ronnie O'Sullivan 1.
Well, there's another rare thing. That is the second pot that we think he's missed today. Overcut it considerably. Still got to get over the line.
Yes, and we mentioned right at the top of the show that Shaun Murphy, 10 years ago now, in the quarterfinals, came back from 12-7 down to beat Matthew Stevens 13-12. I really can't see that happening, but so many strange things have happened at the Crucible over the course of 40 years. And when you've personally witnessed a lot of them, you're always loath to completely dismiss the chances of a repeat.
Nine.
Yes, in that match with Matthew Stevens, he had a pretty nightmarish middle session, Shaun Murphy, where from 4-4 he went 11-5 down, so he lost it 7-1, but he recovered sufficiently to win the match in a decider.
16.
This would take an even bigger effort for certain.
17. Shaun Murphy 17.
Well, just into the first jaw. And I think he was considering position more than anything else. O'Sullivan eyeing up a plant. It looks to the right jaw. But it looks like it would go in off that jaw from where they are.
And also, they've been going in off that particular jaw a little more easily than the other one, so that might influence his thought process.
Yeah, I think the two reds might have a gap between them where he couldn't even straighten that up. I can understand him not playing it, especially when there is an alternative. No, there's plants again. He's looking at the plant to the left centre this time. This time the two reds are far enough apart to actually make it into something better. If it isn't on, but not from there. Left red also is available directly, as you see.
7. Eight.
This could be the end for Shaun Murphy. Very good chance to close everything out here. Interesting angle to come in towards the reds. I think he'll settle for that. I think he'd be more than happy to finish there, left the red to the middle pocket. He's trying to finish off this match, and he's got to keep his concentration and just put the match to bed. He's done all the hard work, Phil. He's just got to finish it off now, and sometimes that can be quite difficult.
Doesn't like hanging around, so he doesn't want to go into a 15-minute mid-session interval.
And of course, given that this is the last session, he would be the second man through, and quarterfinals traditionally on the Tuesday and the Wednesday. So 22. There would be time for him to regroup, to rest up. Although that's not a good shot. He'd have to play one of his specials on the blue to salvage the break.
Ronnie O'Sullivan, 22.
I have to say, I did sense that. I'm just saying it now that he's missed. I sensed it, that he was struggling just to finish off the job. His concentration wasn't as good as it had been. You've got to maintain the killer instinct. He knows that Murphy's there for the taking. And I think that last shot underlines that fact even more, Phil.
When you're 12-7 down, your spirit is drained away, you're demoralised. Doesn't miss balls like that.
I think Murphy's got an eye on the door now. The thing about long matches, you can get behind. I mean, he's not miles behind. We've seen extremely one-sided matches in this round before that have never gone anywhere near the third session of 3. And there can be that demoralising feeling of, well, I'm probably going to lose. Almost, let's just get it over with. I think Murphy doesn't fancy it now. I think he's played okay in spells in this match. He just run up against O'Sullivan, who seems to play well against him every time.
Yes, O'Sullivan on the threshold of reaching his 18th Crucible quarter-final. That's only one behind the record holder, Stephen Hendry. By the way, it would be his 103rd world ranking event quarter-final.
Yes, and it's going to happen, Phil. He isn't anywhere back now. Someone shouted, well done, in the audience. The audience, he's had a bit of a love-hate relationship within this match. But he's got a lot of support out there. And I, for one, am delighted to see O'Sullivan playing well again on this stage. It's always a joy to watch him play. And someone's going to have to play very well to stop him.
This is, by the way, the 62nd match he's won at the Crucible over the years.
30.
Only Stephen Hendry with 70 has prevailed in more.
$33. $37.
The winner of this afternoon's all-Chinese match between Ding Junhui and Liang Wenbo will provide O'Sullivan's next opposition
42.
In the quarterfinals, and if he keeps playing like this,
48.
They're going to have quite a task.
55.
That's it. Ronnie O'Sullivan has defeated Shaun Murphy convincingly by 13 frames to 7. He's in the quarterfinals at the Crucible yet again. So the wall will descend. Higgins, Allen do battle on one table. We concentrate on the conclusion to this one. I think it's fair to say, Neil Foulds, that Shaun Murphy requires undoubtedly the most unlikely comeback of his career.
Yes.
Ronnie O'Sullivan to break.
I think that's fair. I think he's got it all to do. I do recall that tremendous comeback against Matthew Stevens in the World Championship in the best of 25 frame format, where he was way behind and came back to win. This is not Matthew Stevens, however. This is a 5 times champion of the world, but I do remember that he can come out swinging from the hip, if you know what I mean, and just getting things going very quickly.
No, you're right. Numerically, the Stevens comeback would be perhaps bigger than this. He was 12-7 down, won 13-12. But in terms of the stature of the player he's up against and the situation, and bear in mind he was 9-3 behind as well yesterday.
Well, he did get going, and of course he's only unluckily knocking the brown in there. Takes some doing, that would be, to do that again. He was really getting going towards the end of that session, and he won those 3 frames in great style, and then it all came down to the final frame of the afternoon session, where he really should have won that one as well. And of course 9-7 is a very different story, but eventually O'Sullivan scrambled over the line, won it on the black. Murphy had missed a pretty comfortable green, having fluked the yellow, so it is a good lead, but it could have been very different, and the match is not over yet. That's a very fine piece of cue. It was not an easy shot at that speed to get it round 2 cushions from there. Beautifully done. Yeah, I think O'Sullivan was just a tiny bit edgy, well, more than a tiny bit, actually. Yesterday, getting distracted by all kinds of things, which is not really, well, it's certainly not how he used to be. He's been like it this season.
8.
And of course, you can say that there were noises in the crucible from the other table, but hey, that's how it's been. 40 years been playing here, and nothing's really changed. I think if you're
9.
completely in focus and in tune, then a lot of things could be happening at this venue, and you wouldn't be that aware of it. I think if there's a 1-4-7 on the other table, you tend to get wind of that quite early and just stop and wait for a huge roar of the oohs and ahs and all of that. But if there is one criticism of O'Sullivan, he has been a little bit easily distracted this season. I think it's affected his game in the odd match. Something for him still at his age to work on. Well, there is always that. I mean, Ronnie is as good as anyone going into the bunch. If he chooses not to,